My name is Paul Breithaupt. I'm a clinician mainly in the community care management program, but I also take a little bit in outpatient. I've had my hand in several different programs, but I've kind of narrowed it down at this point because community care management takes up enough of my time. Uh, but I do enjoy the challenges of working with other clientele as well.
Wonderful. How long have you been with Wedgwood?
Oh, it's about 5 years now, I think.
Okay, nice. So what drew you to the counseling field initially, and did you always want to be a therapist?
That's a good question. No, I didn't always want to be a therapist. My first desire was to be the person that made dinosaurs, like in Jurassic Park, but that
Oh,
didn't
okay.
pan out real well. So, uh, no, I just found that that this was a good fit for me. I enjoy figuring things out. I enjoy being a part of people's lives, and I found that people tend to find the way I interact with them and how I can helpful. And so I thought, well, let's see if I can make that into a good career, and it's definitely something I enjoy doing.
Great. What is your favorite part about your job here at Wedgwood?
Well, aside from the job itself, I really enjoy counseling and therapy. I love the flexibility that Wedgwood gives me. I mean, they
Mhm.
really do give me a lot. It's I almost feel sometimes like I'm working out of my own practice, which is really awesome. And they're really encouraging, and just being able to have positive influences in people's life is really cool.
Mhm. Great. So you've mentioned you've been involved in a variety of services here at Wedgwood, ranging from substance use to outpatient counseling and community care management. Can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about each of these programs, particularly the community care management, what that looks like?
Sure. Well, briefly on the other two, the substance use one, that's why I started as an intern with Wedgwood there. So that one's anything from outpatient to outreach services. And then the outpatient one, typically right now, I have clients that either had before or transitioning from community care management. I don't have a lot of room in that program in outpatient, but community care management is kind of a cool program. It's quite unique. I don't think a lot of people know about it, and I'm really hoping we'll be able to expand it further someday. But the idea behind it is that we're reducing the risk for the need from restrictive care, and so right now we only have a contract with Priority Health, so we basically they authorize 3 months of treatment services, and that tapers to offer 3 months, uh, because basically three within 3 months of needing something like hospitalization or even other intensive services such as residential or IOP or anything like that, you're at increased risk for a few months after to return to that service. And we know that if we can keep people in the community and treat them there, they do better than if they have to go to restrictive care in the long run. So this program is helped designed to front load the support and taper off to a more typical outpatient sort of arrangement. So we get up to 3 sessions a week in the beginning, and tapers off to one a week, and we can play with that a little bit. But it's a really neat program. Right now we are working only with minors in that program, but I believe we're looking at maybe including adults as well. There are other organizations that also provide services for this program with Priority. So there's some transition going on where we're just trying to figure some things out. But again, I'm hoping that other insurances will also be able to be included in this someday as well.
It sounds like such a unique program and like a great opportunity for families who, they've had one, kind of crisis incident. They've got support as they kind of transition out of that, which is very cool.
It is. I'm very impressed with whoever came up with it. It's a great concept.
Let's see. Throughout this pandemic, mental health obviously has been a huge concern.
Mhm.
Did you have to get creative and adjust the ways that you were providing support through like teletherapy or hybrid models? And what were some of the things you did that were that you found to be pretty successful?
Yeah, so I think everybody had to adjust to the use of technology and using it in this setting. Not many people were in the habit or really all that knowledgeable with doing telehealth before. I am very glad that it's brought about this change because opened up a lot of opportunities for service that we didn't have before, but definitely has challenges. Other than the technological issues that pop up occasionally, we also it's also tends to be more challenging to work with larger groups like families,
Hmm.
especially because it's hard to get them all on the camera frame.
Yeah.
But it also um, provides a good opportunity to model problem solving, which is a large part of what we do in this program and help them
Hmm.
develop problem solving skills. So it's not the worst thing. We've even gotten to the point sometimes where it's just easier to have someone on or a couple people on one device and then the rest of the family on another device in the other room, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And we figure it out. A couple other challenges there are some forms that I use sometimes just to kind of help with prompts for clients and help things so they can see it visually, that kind of thing. Those are a bit challenging to use online. Fortunately, the program that we're using mainly with clients, the Zoom program, it offers some flexibility with that. Uh, Interestingly, other things have gotten a lot easier, things like paperwork, because
Hmm.
we've switched more to electronic, and so that's
Hmm.
gotten a lot easier. Uh, it, and in all, I think that some therapists too have found it difficult because it's it's not a comfortable way of relating for them.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's because of like the way I grew up, or if there's I've had computers in my life that long enough, but it didn't seem as much of a stretch for me, and it seemed to fit the way I approach it fairly decently. So there's I find that we do have to make some different adjustments, especially for younger children, to keep
Hmm.
them focused. Uh, but otherwise, it hasn't been as bad as I was worried it was going to be.
Oh, well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. I've heard from some other people around Wedgwood that having the teletherapy option has been really helpful for some of their clients because it eliminates the, commute to the office or trying to schedule in the time to get to meet, your counselor somewhere. So it seems
Yeah.
like there's a lot of benefits. And I love that you talked about it modeling problem solving. That's not even something I ever would have thought about. What a cool, like, subtle way to kind of work in what you're talking about in therapy. That's very cool.
Yeah, like I said, there's definitely some benefits to this, and you mentioned a couple, and I honestly, I don't have the numbers to show this, but I really get the sense that it's reduced things like no-shows as well,
Mm-hmm.
for me, and it's just really nice that even if the person doesn't prefer online, the client doesn't prefer online, we have that availability if the weather gets really bad or they get sick or something like that,
Hmm.
especially with COVID, because any little symptoms, and we just want to be extra cautious, and
Sure.
so it's just been really nice to have it. There, like I said, there's definitely been some challenges, but for the most part, I think it's been a good experience switching or having the availability rather of telehealth. I wish it could have been brought about in a different way than a pandemic,
Right,
but
right, right. Um, so as we head into the holidays and winter when it gets dark at 4:30,
Mhm,
we I think tend to see a spike in people struggling with some mental health challenges.
mhm.
Do you have any tips for maintaining good mental health, especially during this time of year?
Yeah, wow, there are so many things that can help. I wish there was one single thing that I could say, if you do this, it'll go well. That's not quite how it works,
Right.
obviously. But some things that I always encourage for my clients, and I try to hold to myself, is try to keep your routine as much as you can. I know that the days are getting shorter, things are throwing you off, but the more you can stick to routine, and I'm not just talking about scheduling of times, right? Your actual habitual routine, the more you can stick to that, the easier it is for you going to be, the easier it is to navigate the ups and downs. Try to get some light. We're going into lower light, and of course, that impacts vitamin D and potential seasonal affective symptoms. So try to get some light. Try to enjoy the holiday. Be cautious so you don't get sick, but try to enjoy it. Try to enjoy the season. I think going into the holiday, there's some stressors, right, for everybody. You got timing and group gatherings and all these other things that you have to figure out. But if you're someone who it's particularly hard, maybe it's the anniversary of something difficult, or it's just brings back memories of something, or you're missing someone this holiday because they passed away, something like that. I think it's going to be particularly important to make sure that you have supports, that you have people nearby helping you get through those difficult spots. Doesn't mean they have to be there every moment, but that you're aware that they're there so you can go to them when you're feeling on your head.
Yeah, those are great tips. Great advice.
Thanks.
So like you've said, this is, has been a difficult season for a lot of people. What has brought you hope through all of this?
I mean, first and foremost, my faith in Christ, but also I think the more I work with in the mental health field, the more I realize that you just gotta understand that there is hope. And I think that even without, even if you are someone without any particular faith, there's the understanding that you can make a difference, that you can affect your environment, that you can make choices, that it won't always be this way. It can be hard. You can get stuck in that sense that it's always going to be this difficult, right? Especially when you're really struggling.
So secondhand trauma and burnout are real concerns for those in the counseling professions. What keeps you motivated and passionate about the work that you do?
I think that's a difficult question to answer. So, on one hand, you're talking about what helps you avoid burning out. On the other hand, you're talking about what helps you keep motivated, and they're not necessarily the same thing.
Okay.
They could be. For me, what keeps me from burning out is making sure I'm very careful about my boundaries. Honestly, I'm very careful about with my clients about what to expect from me and timing and different things like that. But also very careful with not bringing work into my home. I'm fortunate enough to be married to someone who has some understanding, because she's also a therapist and she has some understanding in the field. So occasionally I'll bounce ideas off of her, but it's separate. I'm keeping things very compartmentalized. That really helps a lot with burnout. Another thing that I've run across recently that I didn't realize I was doing, but I heard someone put it this way, and that's that you take that conceptual world that we partly live in of good, bad, ought tos, those kinds of things, future concepts, those kinds of things. That's what we live in when we're in therapy, right? And so taking a step back to the physical world again, just engaging in something, going out, being active, you know, splitting some wood in the backyard, or biking, or sledding with the kids, that kind of thing. Getting you back out of that experiential, or back into the physical world, it can be really, really helpful. And then what keeps me going is, I mean, part of it is the fact that I do really enjoy my job. but also just knowing that there are people out there that can benefit from what I can help them with. I think that's really what helps keep me going.
Great. Do you have advice for other mental health professionals in kind of keeping motivated? And is there anything that community members can do to support therapists around them?
Wow. Help anything for other people to help you motivate. I would say find that spot where you can be comfortable and say, okay, I know that I won't necessarily have the answers for this case, but I know that I can move forward with it and help them figure out what's going on. I think sometimes we get stuck in that sense of, well, I know that this person needs help, but I'm not really sure what to do, and we just throw a bunch of things at it. I think people have tried that. I mean, I've done that before too, right? But when we're talking about staying motivated and avoiding burnout, we need to make sure that we're having that consultation, we're letting other people know, your supervisor or whoever you're reporting to, that it's almost more the sense of you're sharing the case. This isn't your responsibility as a therapist. It's their responsibility as a client. We're just providing the assistance to do so. And sometimes I like to think of it similarly to what a physical therapist does. Physical therapists can't make you do the actions, right? It's not their job. Their job is to let you know what actions you need to do to make the improvements. And that's kind of the direction things going with me. I realize that that's a more directive response in a lot of people's approaches, but that's also the program that I'm working in. It's a time-limited, focused approach, and it's just generally very effective in helping you avoid burnout and stay motivated.
Great. So over your 5 years at Wedgwood, you've been a part of many people's stories of healing. Is there a story that has impacted you like significantly?
You know, obviously I can't reveal any names or anything like that, but
Right, of course.
I work with a lot of kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I think one of the coolest things is when a child gets to the point where they recognize that they can do more than just be a passive observer in their own life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I've come to realize is that the majority of the people that I work with, at least, they have a incomplete or fragmented sense of self. Uh, I I think that sense of self needs to be based on the fact that we're part of creation,
Mm-hmm.
but people often aren't there yet. And just the fact that sometimes they get to the point of suddenly realizing through their own work, usually, although sometimes they have to tell them a little bit, but through their own work, usually, of, you know what, I can actually make a change in this, and at least for a minute, they have that expression of some peace and some hope, and it's just really cool. I like that.
That's awesome. Awesome. So this maybe ties in a little bit to what you just talked about, but how have you seen God moving here at Wedgwood?
You know, I've been a part of different places, different organizations, even faith-based places, and I have to say that out of all the places I've ever been, the staff really tries to live the lifestyle and really tries to engage that, and I think that's really cool. I've also seen the impact of just even the patience that our staff displays on clients. We, you know, I hear sometimes case presentations, obviously from other places, and I just think, wow, that the people that I'm working with at Wedgwood often get really good results because they display a lot more patience than this person did, and
Mm-hmm.
so that sort of fruit of the spirit is really prevalent.
That's great. Well, Paul, thank you so much for all you do here at Wedgwood and all that you do to help the people in West Michigan find hope and healing. We appreciate the dedication to providing mental health and support with grace and compassion, and it was a delight to have you for this Wedgwood Coffee Break conversation today.
Thank you for having me.